the excellent Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I go for refuge until the attainment of enlightenment through the merit of my generosity and so forth. May I attain Buddhahood for the sake of benefiting beings.
Okay, so today, since I think last few weeks we were talking or discussing about the analytical meditation. I think the problem between our understanding and the realization doesn't always goes together. There's a big gap, and in order to transform or tame, so to speak, or purify our subconscious mind, we have to go through this analytical meditation, which is very important part. Generally we say studying or hearing, and then contemplation, and then meditation. So meditation is categorized as in the third, but actually contemplation itself is also part of meditation. And since normally when you say meditation, we are basically talking about the resting instead of analyzing. And because of that, contemplation and the meditation is divided as the two. I think the contemplation or the reflection and introspection, I think that is how translated in English. In Tibetan we call sampa or chikum. I think it's important to understand there's the word analytical, analyzing. It's true that it has a analytical or discriminating awareness there, strongly is input. But it's also very important to know that it has a strong sense of observation. So I think analyzing and observing is a little bit different, because analyze is more you are inside of that and trying to figure something as a result, trying to solve something. But observation observation, not necessarily. So observation could be just observing it and trying not to influence or caught out or followed by that story or the thought. But at the same time, you're kind of observing it, analyzing it, but not as in good, bad, right, wrong. So I think sometimes when you don't know these two distinctions, and then you expect like I will analyze and I will find something and I will be ease and that will be my meditation, right? It's not really like that. It's not that like solving a math problem, So at the beginning, since we don't know the differences, it's good to use the duality mind, right, wrong, all this discriminative awareness. But then the focus or the purpose of our analyzing should not be that you will find something and then you will become at ease. Rather than through analyzing, you will become a more clear and you will find out the nature and this process of mind and the pattern, most important. So you see them very clearly. And since you see them very clearly, now there's a high chances that you can undo it because you know the whole process of doing it. That is the purpose of analytical meditation. Not that you analyze and then you find something and then you liberate it or you become ease. So this is one, the word analytical or contemplation. Should not be I don't know how to say it, should not be limited to just that. Maybe you have heard this example many times that in the Mahamudras that you analyze, you observe the thought, not to find out what is what thought is, but actually to know how thoughts are created through illusion, through habit, and how it misleads you and how it creates another chain of suffering. That is the point. So this observation, not necessarily only for the thought, yes, because since among our five aggregates, especially mind and body and environment, mind is the main, that's why we focus. But then you can observe your environment. You can observe your physical body, its conditions, its how to say, events, and you can observe as like say what happens in one day, as in one lump, and see. because as long as you observe, you will always be subjective, no matter analytical meditation you do. So you might find something, but you won't see the whole picture. You will see the small bits of here and there, and that doesn't really solves the bigger problem. The another important thing, generally when we practice Dharma, I think this is the very common challenges that we all encounter, especially when you do meditation. As I was saying last time, that because there's a clash between emotional habit and the intelligent wisdom. And we are by nature, I think, very eco-protective kind of beings. We have very this self-defense, automatic kind of shields. So because of that, there's some sort of uncomfort, some sort of irritations, whether it's being I'm important, or maybe I should practice compassion, or I should not get angry because I'm practicing, or no, I want to get angry because it will accomplish more. So this clash. To put it in simple, the whole purpose of Dharma, of course, it's that we become free from this ego and the ecosystem, so that we are not more confused and not suffer. So when you practice Dharma at the beginning, and still you're very comfortable with your old habit or ego, if there's nothing clashes happening there, actually that's a bad sign of practicing. There's some sort of uncomfortable feeling, which means your practice is doing nothing to your ego. You're just enjoying the system of ego, going still very smoothly, going under the flow of ego. There's no disruption, because the uncomfortable feeling arises when there's kind of interruption, disruptions to the flow of this ecosystem. That's why it is said that in the mind training text that the best pit instruction, the supreme pit instruction, is that when it really hits on your vital hidden points, which is the ego's, like a vital protective kind of shield. Let's say if I say some word that you don't identify yourself, probably it doesn't matter much you. It means I'm not hitting your, the point, the hitting the point of ego. For example, let's say, stupid Westerners, maybe I'm well. But then if I say, stupid, stupid British, you see? So this is what it means, how ego reacts. When it doesn't do that, it means still it's not going into you, it's just passing you. Dharma is kind of passing you. It's like when you take medicine and it's not reacting to your disease, it's just passing you. So that if your guru is praising you or always good to you, talks about your quality, it might be good, but it might be not very good. So it said the best teacher, let's say you go to, there are some doctors like that, you go to some, maybe not a serious disease, but you go to some places, clinic, and doctor really entertains you, gives you a small chocolate and something. Oh, you're okay, nothing's bad, oh, you're very fine, you're very healthy, we all get happy, that's fine. But when doctor finds you and say, you have this disease, you have that disease, very seriously and scolds you, we don't like that, right? Of course, we don't want to hear that you have that and this problem. But that is what we needed if you really wanted to cure. This is exactly the same that Dharma says. Best teacher is who really pokes your, these buttons, these ego buttons that you have. It's like all your body is okay, but then you have a little bit here swollen. And if somebody always pokes that swollen part, it's a very difficult. So this clash, this disturbance, you can call it this little bit of disturbances, good disturbances, because normally you are disturbed by the power of ego. That's a very bad, because then it is not curing, it is just getting worse and worse. But now our wisdom is poking the ego and disturbing the ego. So it still is a feeling of disturbances, but it's a very different way. It's a positive disturbances. But the problem is that I think many of us, since we are quite a strong influence of the ecosystem, and whenever we feel this little bit of disturbances and the clash and this uncomfortable, comfort zone, goes out of ego's comfort zone, we stop doing that. And then we immediately, ego will tell you, it's scary, or this and that, so many excuses in the name of protection, whatever you call it. So this is important to keep in mind, that this will happen when we practice. And there's unhealthy disturbances which we usually have, and there's a healthy disturbances. So recognizing and being able to differentiate is like taking a medicine, even though it is something that you don't like its odor or its taste, but it's important. So it's like regardless of whether it is in your comfort zone or not, but you understand it's something is happening there. It's like this. All the things, I think in English you have saying that it gets messy, before it gets nice clean. It's kind of like that. If you're really afraid to make any kind of messy and wanting to transform your house, that's very important, because you're not moving anything. You want everything to the way it is, but at the same time you want a dramatic change. It's not going to happen. If you want dramatic change, you have to move your things, everything, and make mess. So you have to have that courage. Not only courage, but actually it's very important to enjoy that irritation. It's like, let's say, if there's a throne in here, you have pain, and someone's taking out throne. Of course, it is a pain, but when it's taking out, you kind of enjoy it, Oh, now it's going out. That kind of feeling. So it's not like you're pushing something that you don't like it. It's just, it feels a little bit of uncomfortable, but I'm still enjoying it. That kind of feeling. Practice. That is not only into meditation, it's general, but especially when we meditate. These are some very important points to be noticed. Because I think many of us, starting is not that difficult. What difficult is continuity. And what is the problem not to be continuity is that whenever we reach that point, it's a little bit of sense of confused, sense of uncertainty, sense of fatigue, irritation, uncomfort zone. You just stop and go back to the old one. So it doesn't move really. So Buddha, he said again and again, and he suggests this information in many different ways. When we do the meditation, analytical meditation, we can do it in many different ways, but very fundamental and effective. It might sound a little bit too vague, but very effective. Is this? Maybe we all have heard it again and again, but we are not doing it systematically, so that's a problem. So what is the main problem? It's ego clinging, it's illusion, and sometimes we call it ego, the self-clinging, is self-clinging to the self. But this comes from me, my environment, my body, or so other causes and conditions. So Buddha always talks about, because suffering is an illusion. Why we are suffering? Because you are not being into the true state. That's why we are confused, like seeing frog as a snake. You are not seeing snake as a snake. So confusion equal to suffering. So the confusion towards what? There could be many different layers, but fundamental confusion, like building blocks or other confusion. Buddha always said this, the fundamental marks for the fundamental characteristics of the existence. These three things: transitory or impermanent, right? So whether it is me, my feeling, life, or outer world, nothing's beyond this transitory, moving. In fact, from the, we call beings, there are several ways to call it. The one is called Drowa, which means the one wanderer. So everything is moving in the transitory reality. There is a momentarily transitory, and there is a dependently transitory, such as 1 week is one, it's a Monday is beginning, and so on and so forth. Now, this transitory is related to what's the problem? Yeah. So what's wrong with it? Not understanding this fundamental reality, and we create the irrational expectations. And actually, the transitory itself is not a suffering, but creating the illusion to the transitory of phenomena as non-transitory, which is not transitory, and that becomes because it will never meet your expectation, because you have created a fake one. See, that's the problem. So not knowing creates the illusion. The illusion gives you a fake expectation, and then you work so hard, but this expectation is never met because fundamentally you are wrong. It's like trying to make your imaginary friend some sort of existential or something like that. It cannot, no matter what you try. It's basically your illusion, in the illusion state. See? So now the question is, okay, so we are wanderers means condition, means that we wander, but not by our choice or wish in a way. Again, what that means? It means we have no choice but to move with the transitory reality. Not only that, but then we have created so many other realities, cooking, sleeping, clothes, getting married, getting jobs, so all these illusion. And you don't have choice, because everyone is doing that. If you don't do that, you will be punished. Especially in this so-called modern socialized world, it's very, very hard, difficult, because you don't have a choice at all. So from the Dharma's point of view, we say you are moved by the power of karma, conditioned phenomena. Why you die? Because you are born. That was the problem. Why you get sick? Because you are born, Why I have to maintain this body? Why I have to do this, all this, get job, get married? Because you are born, So, did I born by my choice? No, you're not. Completely not. Did I choose my parents? No. So do I have a choice to study or not? Not really, Do I have a choice to eat or not? Not really. So you are in this wheel of transitory, but the word first thing is that you don't have a power, you don't have a choice, because you are in the condition spare. Now I'm not talking from the that just means that we don't have a free will or cannot do anything karma. I'm not talking from that point of view. I'm talking from the fundamental level. I think now it's a very good question to ask ourselves. If we are all moving towards something, yeah, like they say, we are all wandering, we are all in kind of sort of journey, then it's, I think, often good to ask ourselves, so what is our destination? Because it seems that we are quite clear about it, isn't it? We don't get confused. We wake up today and confused, okay, so what would be my destination of life? Nobody seems that confused. It seems that everybody is quite clear about their destination of this journey of life. I'm talking about this because, in Buddhism when we say renunciation, it comes from here, understanding this transitory journey, and it is a valuable goal or not. How much effort you put, what you get, is it fair or not? We can do all these calculations, by ourselves and compare. So now question is that, do you enjoy living in this endless journey, or do you want to get rid out of that cycle? That's the question. And of course then it's a individual's answer, Nobody can force to nobody. We might say, I like this life, or I enjoying this and that. Or you might question and say, well, maybe I have a potential to do a little more than that, just run. Or mostly like aimlessly running, moving. These are very, very important introspection and the fundamental wisdom in ignorances, which influences our refuge, renunciation, bodhicitta, everything. These are like a building blocks, wisdoms. Now the second one, when among the 3 marks, when Buddha says that suffering, it means that the second marks of our reality existing, samsara, whatever we call it, is that it's always unsatisfactory state. It will never reach to the fully satisfied state. So it's very, very important. Now again, so what's the problem? Yeah, there's no problem. But the problem happens when you expect fully satisfied state. And you create that illusion. And that becomes a fake expectations, and which will never be fulfilled and turns into suffering. And based on that, there's hope and over fear. So this is very true. Like if you look at how, maybe not in the samsara, but if you just look at the very small part of our social, why society works and so hard, puts so much, and we still strongly have these expectations of fully satisfied state is still possible, and that is how advertised. Even if you go to the hotels or somewhere, they will say that your satisfaction is our motto, right? But in fact, if the customer is satisfied, their business is gone. Right? So you can see our economic system is running on this unsatisfactory state of mind. Now, what helps us is that, does it mean that if you understand it is unsatisfied, you will stop? You will stop running? Not really, because you are still a human being. You will still eat food. You will still go through transitory. Now the difference is that those who don't know, they will use this energy, to remember, to reborn into the samsara and go around and go around. You can use that energy. So eating food, whatever you call it, is the energy. It's a potential. You can use. You still have to do that until you are alive, But you can use all those time energy, not to re-circle, but to free from that circle. That's the difference. So it's not a question about stopping, but it's all about, through this recognition, how should I use this potential? Am I going through this red race, or am I putting all this energy to reborn in this again and do same thing again and again? Or am I using this energy in order to get rid out of it for eternally? This is what we call liberation or Buddhahood, right? And maybe liberation, forget about the liberation, but once you understand that, it will make your life much, much more easier, regardless of, because it's almost like that everyone is going on the marathon, and the marathon is designed, there's no finish line, but nobody was taught like that, and everybody was taught that there's a finish line, you will get a reward, and everybody is doing that. There's just one person who just stood there, understood there's not finish line, but it doesn't mean that he will reach nowhere. Where he stopped, actually you can say it's a finish line or start line, but he's not just moving aimlessly. That's the difference. He will reach somewhere, but not by wandering aimless, by stopping somewhere, you can say something like that. So that's the difference. And the third mark is that selflessness, or you can also say that these so that again, one reality, let's say we can call it the selflessness of selflessness of phenomena or person, but let's say the me, it's more easier. It's context. So it is very clear when you confuse who you are, and then everything becomes quite complicated. Yeah. But again, the problem is that since you are transitory, since you are unsatisfactory state, that is the worst, you never become happy, and you change your your opinions day by day. Can you make that person happy? You cannot, because by nature you are changing, and your value and your thought, your emotions are changing, right? And you're trying to make something today, and tomorrow it ends with something. He needs something, you give that to him, let's say her, and then he get bored, and immediately he wants something else. This is the nature of this personality, so to speak. And if you try to make that kind of person eternally happy, satisfied, it doesn't work, because that's how the eternally satisfied is the worst gift that you can give it to yourself. It's like saying that eat food for every day, watch this TV for every day, and spend, it's like you don't do that. So it's almost like torturing yourself and not knowing what you really want, and thinking that you're helping. That's a big illusion. Now, again, of course, in the text, there's many how to scan the self. Again, observation is very important. Not like, I will go and find, this is what I mean, this is me, not really like that. Again, remember, it's not about finding a self, it's about understanding this that we ignorantly created this self. That's the problem. So understanding that imputed self was not the wise, because it doesn't work. You're making somebody satisfy who will never satisfy anyway. So what's the point of doing that? So when you scan yourself, traditionally we do by looking at the 5 aggregates, do the analytical meditation. Again, remembering the transitory nature, and remembering the unsatisfactory nature is very, very important, because these two are almost like two main reasons why you confuse the self. You can do observation like so again, it is not to find out somebody who I really am, rather than it is to find out what I think I am. Does it really work, that way or not? Yeah. So what I created myself, is it the real me or not? That's the question. So how to know? So this is again little bit, it plays a little bit game between this conscious and subconscious mind, our emotional mind. So if I ask you, remember the confusion of transitory as a permanent, non-transitory, I'm not sure if this is in short not, but transitory as a non-transitory, which means permanent, and never satisfying state as a satisfying state, which is a suffering, and non-suffering, let's say bliss, because this is how we when you satisfied, we call it a happiness or bliss, right? When you accomplished your desire, right? This is how we define happiness some way. And when you put these two things together, permanent happiness, but it means good, positive, substantially. And because it is permanent, because it is like positive, or let's say substantially, and then it becomes a complete independent I. So, but of course, now when we look at rationally, if I ask you, are you impermanent, are you permanent, are you, substantial existence, you say, no, I'm not, I'm this, and you will never say that, But when you react, this is how we react. So it's a very tricky game that plays between your emotional ego and your intelligent wisdom. And this is exactly why we need to do the contemplation, because it doesn't really encounter each other. They're like almost going to the different. Because of that, one reason why we study, but also nothing change in our habit. The reason is that because it's almost like asking question to someone and giving answer to someone, and someone's doing something, and they are not coming together. They are not even encountering each other, questioning each other many times. So let's say if you ask me, are you permanent, right? I said, no, of course I'm not permanent. But I'm still angry that you said something yesterday. Why? It doesn't make sense. There's no reason why I still should get angry. You said something yesterday which already ceased. So that means when you ask, I will say I'm not, but then I react as permanent. And this goes against a fundamental reality, and I expect myself to be permanent. And that's why when you see the first gray hair, you're shocked. We put creams, try to hide that impermanent part of you, because our ego tells us that permanent is more safe. Impermanent is scary. Uncertainty. Permanent, safe, because you can put lots of layer and layer and grow up. Impermanent kind of dissolves, but it's not true. Now, if we ask question ourselves, then we might say, well, I know yesterday was not me, but I get angry because I'm same continuity. This may be the best question or the rational mind that we may come up. Now, this is a very, very good thing. The very fundamental of confusion happens because of continuity. So continuity, look at the television, why it works so good, why there's such a confusion, why it's so realistic, because of continuity. And why I don't get any doubt, I sleep and I wake up still me, when I look at in the mirror, still me. Why? Because the form, the look of my continuity is precise. Imagine that every day you wake up with a different face, probably you won't think that I'm permanent. Now the question is, what is the continuity really is? Because the moment when we say it's a continuity, it is already you are saying it is an illusion. but you don't think it's something is called continuity is there, but it's not. It's almost same as it's an illusion. This continuity is nothing but the illusion of the many things. So somehow you already saying that I am illusion, but then you're proving that I exist because I am illusion. Now, similarly, if I ask you, are you singular, and then you say, no, I have 5 aggregates, you will say same meaning. But then, if I say something to you, you will always say, me. You said to me like this. Because of that, I got angry. You never said that, or maybe he said it, but he just said it to my body, my feeling. No, he said it to me. So if you're not a singular, why are you using the word me and I? Because it's a singular word. You don't say, he said to we. You don't say we got angry. I said I got angry. It's not just I, it's a very real rigid one I there, not like a community I there, isn't it? So now I think you can say that. You might argue that, well, yeah, but my hand, my body, they are separate. But when I put them together, this assembly is a me. Now, exactly, what is the assembly? What is the forest, Forest is just the illusion of lots of trees. So when you say this assembly is me, you are similarly saying I am nothing but the illusion that is labeled upon my parts. So now my point is that whenever we say the continuity is me, you have to really observe and investigate. So what do you mean by continuity? What is the continuity? Right? Is the continuity substantially exist, or is it just a label? That's the question. And if you say, assembly is a me, what do you mean by assembly? Is it substantially existing, or it is just elusively labeled upon something? So you can make the conversation with this emotional me and the intelligent me, you can say. Really. Even there's a text called the conversation with wisdom and the me, I. How they argue each other. The I says, I'm not illusion, I exist, I'm real. And the wisdom says, no, you don't, you're illusion. Now, again, the important thing is, you remember the 3 characteristics of the me: permanent, singular, and the independent. Now, if you ask me, are you singular, which means like independent, yeah? If you independent, and probably no, I'm not independent, I cause and conditions, I might say that. But if that's the case, then let's say there's 2 persons, right? and both of us are hungry, and there's only one food. So I won't think you as a part of me, and you won't think me as a part of you. We just run, take food for myself. So this shows that rationally you say I'm a dependent, but emotionally still you're very strongly think that I'm just this independent me. I'm not part of you, I'm not part of you, I'm not part of you. So why we are so reluctant to my suffering but not other? Why I'm so careful for my suffering but not other? Because I'm an independent. My suffering is independent suffering. My happiness is independent happiness. Because of that, we react that way. I don't see you as a part of me. I don't see the dependence between you and me. Even though, if you ask, even these days, scientists talk about whole world as dependent, right? We all talk about that rationally. But when we have to act, we don't. Why? Because still you think it's me, I. It's not a dependent, it's an independent. Why you make a difference, between others' suffering and your suffering? Well, we might say easily, well, that's not me. Right? That will be our answer. Simple. But what do you mean by that's not me? What is the line between other and you? Like you can even use the same logic, like in the Shantideva he says that, okay, so if you just say like it is others suffering, because of that I don't care, and then you have to really understand what do you mean by other, how do you define other? So if the right hand is suffering by a thorn, left hand, would right hand help this or not, right? Why would you do that? Because these are completely other, right? No relationship, exactly like the what I have relationship with you. Why would I do that? So this very strong duality between me and other is coming from this fundamental idea of independent me. Even though it seems not very clear consciously, and if I ask you, you will never say, no, we're dependent, but that's a very strong idea of that. So these are very fundamental reality that we don't understand, or we don't try to see, or we don't try to realize. And because of that, we label fake reality, three reality, suffering as a happiness, transitory as non-transitory, and then selfless as a self. And when you put all these together, whole world works very well. This circle of samsara, these three are almost like a fundamental fuel to run the wheel of samsara.